Yes, ma'am, I am. Okay, I'm waiting on the notification. Okay, and boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have an incredible guest with us, Sister Velma Muhammad. I am very excited and humbled that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast, ma'am. We look forward to getting your information as well as your inspiration.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Well, Sister Velma, the first thing we want to know is what made you go back to college in your latter years?
First of all, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, ma'am.
I want to thank you for just wanting to hear what I have to say, because I wouldn't have anything to say if it weren't for the Nation of Islam. So
Yes,
I thank
ma'am.
you for inviting me. I had done so many things in life, and then it occurred to me one day when I came back from Ghana, because I lived there for 7 years, it occurred to me that I had never gone to get my degree. And I said, let me see what they have for me. Well, by that time, it was free for me because of the senior citizens waiver. So I got my tuition free, and I got that degree at 67, and I'm thankful to Allah. But I already had my education from the Nation of Islam.
Beautiful, beautiful. And what was it like? How did your family feel about you getting your master's degree and getting your bachelor's and then master's degree? Were they supportive?
Brother, my children are grown people. They're grandparents.
Mm, mm,
So when
mm.
I decided to go to college, that was me. You know, that they
Yes,
weren't
ma'am.
with me. They had their
Okay,
family.
yes, ma'am. Yes,
And,
ma'am.
but they applauded it, and they thought it was very good, very magnificent. And I also I enjoyed it, because going to college at my age meant that I already had some maturity, which meant that I would do my assignments, I would come to class on time, and I
Yes,
would
ma'am.
respect my professors. And I was older than most of them, but I gave them my utmost attention and respect, because they
Okay.
had something that I needed. So I had to submit.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful.
Yes,
And
sir.
what earlier you spoke of your travel. What made you travel um, around to so many countries?
Well, what happened was I lived in Chicago between 1986 and 1989, and I was
Mm.
selling the whiting fish. I was telemarketing and teaching it at the same time while I was in Chicago. And I
Okay.
met Brother Minister Abdul Akbar Muhammad, and we had a kindred spirit. We're
Mm.
10 months apart. I'm older than he is. So we came in around the same time of the nation. We both
Yes.
entered the nation around the same time. So I worked with him somewhat, but not in depth. But I worked with a couple of other laborers in depth, like Dr. Ava, Dr. Minister Ava. I worked with her. Yes, I love her
Yes, ma'am.
dearly. But what happened
Praise
was
be-
I would see Brother Akbar at different events. And one event, I think I was in Georgia at that time. He told me he was that the minister was going to Ghana. And I said,
Mm.
well, I want to go. I'll go and help. And that's what happened. I absolutely volunteered to go to Ghana. In 1994, I went in August. The minister held a wonderful event in October, and I was one of the team. It was 9 of us on a team, and then a couple of more people came, but we were the core. It was 9 of us, and 3 of us were sisters. Sister
Mm.
Cadet Marie Muhammad, another sister named Brenda Muhammad from North Carolina, and myself. And
You.
during during the time I was in Ghana, well, first of all, when it was time to go home, I wouldn't go. I ran away from America. I said, I'm not going back there. And I stayed for 7 years, but I came in and out because I came out to help with the Million Man March. And I came out, let's see, to do the Million Family March. Those are the times I came out. But during the time I lived in Ghana, Minister Farrakhan was going to different places, and I was allowed to travel to other countries. And it's something you couldn't pay for. I couldn't afford to pay for that. So I thank Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who allowed me to work for him. And I did it again, you know, with the Million Man March and the Million Family March. I just like working for Minister Farrakhan. That's my best work.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Now, in Ghana, what was it that was so beautiful that made you not want to rush back to America?
I adopted a family. I adopted a young woman who's a fashion designer. And she said that her mother had passed away when she was 13. So when she met me, she wanted me to be her mother. And I wanted her to be my daughter because she's spiritually enriched. She's beautiful. She's smart as she can be. She knows how to do business and she knows how to treat people. So I belonged in her family. So that's my family. And I'm going back, inshallah, next year to be permanently a resident of Ghana.
Praise be to Allah.
Allah willing.
Beautiful. One of my friends from high school is from Ghana, and he's constantly trying to get me to go over there. But I always pictured it with like flies, and you saying it's not that. It's peaceful. It's not like that.
Brother, first of all, I need to tell you that the daughter that I adopted is a millionaire. So those conditions. She has property. She manufactures on a large scale. She just sent me 500 masks. Yes, she's a very busy person. She's helping to develop a new city called Apollonia. So she's a real estate developer. She's not what you would imagine thinking about Africa. No, she has class, she has intelligence, she has just great bearing. She's just a beautiful human being. And she tells everybody I'm her mother. And I accept the challenge.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Okay, yes, ma'am. Okay, well, now you give me a different view on of Ghana and Africa as a whole, because yes, ma'am. Beautiful. My sister Miriam says, Assalamu alaikum, Sister Naima, Sister Tracy, everybody, thank you all for continuing to watch People's Podcast.
Praise now, Allah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mimi. My next question is, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
I was 19 years old, and my best friend from high school came running to me, came to my house and said, you got to go hear these people. They tell you all these things and they buy you coffee. That's how she presented it to me.
Yes, ma'am.
So I end up going and she didn't. I end up joining and she stopped speaking to me. That's how it works. That's how it works. So Allah sent her to me to give me life. And I tell you, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, brother, because I grew up in an AME church. And at some point, I had critical thinking, and something just wasn't right in my head about what I was being taught in church. But I didn't know what was what until I went to that meeting, and it all became crystal clear. Praise be to Allah.
How did your parents feel about you accepting the teachings?
They told me to shut up. They didn't want to hear it. But I couldn't shut up, so they were stuck with me. Of course, I wanted them to throw all the pork away. You know how we do.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It'll kill you. I did all the things that we normally do when we become enlightened about these teachings. We just want our people to get better. And I wanted to get better. However, being a teenager, I was 19 years old. I wasn't actually ready to give up everything because I love to dance, and things like that. It took me a minute because the brothers would come from Baltimore. These were two brothers from Baltimore.
Okay.
Middle-aged brother and a one in his 20s. And the one in his 20s would come to fish me to come to the meetings, and I would tell my mother to tell him I wasn't home. She wouldn't do it. So I went to the meetings and became more entrenched. And eventually I did marry that brother. He was the assistant minister in that little study group.
Okay, yes, ma'am. And around what year was this? Like around what time period? What year was this when you were hearing the teachings?
1960.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful.
And I came to live in Baltimore in 61. Excuse me. Go ahead.
No, yes, ma'am, right here with you. Beautiful. And what was the climate like in the nation, in the city of Baltimore towards the Nation of Islam back in the 60s?
They sort of tolerated us. They weren't overjoyed because the way that we were taught the teachings back then was somewhat different. During our stay here with Brother Minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we've become more comprehensive in our knowledge.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And we understand better than we did back then. So a lot of things we weren't even aware of because we didn't study. Only, I guess, the ministers studied, but the followers didn't study. I can't say that for 100% of the followers, but we didn't have study groups. I can say that. And having study groups really get you to understand what you're a part of, and you begin to appreciate it more. Back then, we didn't know what we had. I even had a chance to see the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I didn't know who I was looking at. I didn't know I was looking at the exalted risen Christ. I didn't know I was looking at someone fabulously wonderful that could save my life for real.
Yes, ma'am.
So things were a little different back then. The teachings were taught in a different way. But nowadays, we're getting every iota. There's nothing that we haven't been taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We can't claim that he didn't teach us everything. He has taught us everything.
Beautiful. And what was it like when you saw the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
I was young. I didn't know what I was looking at. So, of course, I was excited, but I had no inkling, I don't think any of us back then knew who this man was. It was exciting to see him in person.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
I just didn't know until I grew up. So now I know that I had a great blessing.
Allahu Akbar. Beautiful.
Uline Arena in Washington, D.C. That's where I saw him.
Amazing. Praise be to Allah. And what was it like for you in 1975 when the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad left? How did that impact you and your family?
What happened was we had been away from the nation for years. We dropped out in the 60s. So I never was a part of what happened to the nation because I was away from it. How I got back to the nation was in around 1980, a brother came through the 30th Street train station where I was working in Philadelphia. And he's a brother that I grew up with in Chester, Pennsylvania. He gave me a tape. He gave me a newspaper. And I went home and I listened to that tape all night and I read the newspaper. And the next day I was back on my post, just like that, instantly. Instantly.
Praise
Yeah.
be to Allah.
Sewing
Beautiful.
clothes to cover me and all that.
And what was it like in Chester? Like, what was that like when you came back? Were a lot of believers there, or was it small, or what was going on?
Wait, okay, I left Chester in 1961.
Oh, okay.
I've been a Baltimorean since 1961. So my 19 years in Chester fade because I've been here over 50
Baltimore.
years.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
Baltimore is really my hometown now. My
Okay,
birthplace
amazing.
is not my hometown.
Hmm. What is it
Mhm.
about Baltimore that makes you stay there for so long?
I was able, by the grace of Allah, to become successful in different areas. I had a lot of different professions. I used to be a lab technician. I had no problem getting employed. I made a life here. And then
Beautiful.
when my husband was able to get houses for $100
Mm.
and fix them up, he was a home improvement person.
Okay.
We owned 14 houses when we were in our 20s. So I got involved in real estate, and now I'm in commercial, not commercial. I'm a residential real estate agent, but I could do commercial. I became an agent in 1974.
Praise be to
I
Allah. Go ahead, Sis
use
Velma.
it.
Yes, ma'am.
I use it in my life. I buy houses. I sell houses. It's a wonderful thing.
Praise
It's a
be to
great thing.
Allah.
I would suggest that you get a real estate license if you don't already have one.
No, ma'am, I don't. But yes, ma'am, I will absolutely submit to your counsel. Yes, ma'am. Um, my next question is, what was it like for you meeting the Most Honorable Rasul's Farrakhan for the first time?
Wow. When I met him, I was at the train station. He came through the train station with Brother Akbar and some other brothers.
Mm,
And my son was 17, and the minister told my son he was 17.
mm,
He had that discernment, and I have a little of it. I can usually tell you your age. Yeah,
mm.
that's something that some people can do. But I talked to the minister about his writing that play and acting in it, Organa.
Yes, ma'am.
That's
Yes, ma'am.
all I could think of to talk to him about.
Praise be to
If I
Allah.
knew who he
Beautiful.
was, then I would have asked him a whole lot of other things. But of course, I didn't know. I was just excited to see him. So that's the first time I saw him. And then I went to the Savior's Day where he told us that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is still alive. And
Mm,
I
mm.
believed it. As soon as it came out of his mouth, I believed it.
Praise be to Allah. And did others around when he made that announcement? Were others around you? Did they agree, or how was that talking about that?
I don't think others agreed because what happened was, Brother Joshua, when I got back to Baltimore, I saw the brother that I had married who brought me into the nation. I saw him he was driving his truck, and I stopped him and I told him the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was still alive. And he looked at me like I had three heads. I said, oh my goodness. But at least I passed the message on. I
Praise
passed the
be,
message on. I did my job.
praise be to Allah. And thank you for doing your job. Yes, ma'am. My next question is, what advice would you give to future mothers?
Wait a minute. What advice would I give to future mothers?
Yes,
Future
ma'am.
mothers. Wow, that's a
Yes,
heavy one, brother. My advice would be to get knowledge, get the proper knowledge, get the spiritual knowledge of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad so you can raise your children properly.
yes,
There's
ma'am.
nothing in the world that's going to teach you what you need to know in order to develop a human being into a righteous person. Nothing in the world is there for you. You must connect with the Most Hon Elijah Muhammad and minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and the Nation of Islam. That's all there is. Nothing else is sufficient. It lacks.
Praise be
Is
to
that
Allah.
enough?
Beautiful. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What advice would you give to future wives?
Well, future wives, actually, you have to look for substance when you're entertaining a relationship. You must look for someone who's interested in helping our people and improving himself. Those two are critical. Helping our people. That's what we all should have on our minds right now, because that's what's necessary.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
time and what must be done. That is what must be done.
Beautiful. Okay, I'm with it. I'm with it. And what made you travel when you were in Ghana? What was your role in the Mayman March to leave Ghana to come back to America?
Well, something of that magnitude I just wanted to be a part of. I wanted to give my divine gifts that I have. I have a divine gift of sales, and it's awesome, and I love it, but I don't enjoy it unless I'm doing something to help the nation. You know, I sell houses and I sell things, but the joy actually comes from helping the nation. Even though I make money when I do those other things, they don't have the fulfillment that helping Minister Louis Farrakhan has. I need that fulfillment to know that I'm doing something that makes sense, that has substance to it.
Praise be to Allah. So you mean to say that money and material doesn't fulfill your soul?
Not really, because I have more clothes than I'll ever wear, more shoes than I'll ever need. And what is that? You know, I've been taught well, so I know what has value. And what has value is what we're giving of ourselves to people. It's not about the money, even though I make it, it doesn't mean anything.
Praise be to Allah. Sister Rhonda sends the greetings. Sister Tracy has a lot of questions. Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Okay, and speaking of the sales, ma'am, I just want to give a quick 60-second commercial break to our sponsors of the
Yes, sir.
People's Podcast, because I want to thank you all very much for your continued sponsorship, especially this month. We have had a lot of sponsors that are signing up for next month, so I just want to constantly thank everybody. Please cash app the People's Podcast, $ the People's Podcast for your sponsorship. Street Premiere Media Production, my brother Rashad and his business partner Jamal. They have a 4K camera, a drone. They television and film, and they're working on something big right now as we speak. My sister Miriam's children's book, ABC I Love Me, and coloring book, both of which are on Amazon. Thank you very much, Mimi. My sister Naima Stay On Point Dance Academy LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country and in the studio here in Atlanta, Georgia. Supreme Men's and Boys Urban Wear. I want to thank you very much. If you are in St. Louis, make sure you stop in. But all around the country, he can ship you the clothes. I want to Raising Black Millionaires. Sister Tia Muhammad. She does flashcards, economic empowerment to young Black children. Make sure we support that. Thank you. I'm coming right back to you, Sister Velma.
Yes,
Brother
sir.
Kenneth Muhammad, both make you extraordinaire. He'll ship you his bow ties to you all across the country, and he does an amazing job. Exodus, a new way of life, credit restoration. If you would like your credit to improve and become A1, reach out to them. Khaliq's Boutique, thank you very much. They do custom-made t-shirts and they can ship them to you right away. And thank you all for your support. For Chantil Express, he hires truck drivers as well as he can ship. He specializes in refrigeration all across the country. Thank you very much, Brother Chantil. Brother Jabbar Muhammad, Client First Construction. He specializes in painting, carpentry, flooring, and plumbing, etc. The Chicago area, as well as the Memphis, Tennessee area. Make sure we reach out to Brother Jabbar. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia, especially during this season. Let's make sure we support. He has amazing turkey legs. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 Disinfecting Cleaning Service is in Chicago, Illinois. Make sure you all reach out if you're in the area. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, AbdulSharif.com. Thank you very much, Dad. Last but not least, my two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book on Amazon, and No Father, No Excuse. I want to thank you all for your support. If you'd like to make a donation, Cash App the People's Podcast. Thank you very much. Okay, Sis Velma, we're right back into it.
Those were exciting.
Oh, praise be to Allah. Thank you very much, ma'am. What I wanted to ask you was your role in the May March. What was that?
Showed up. I just showed up at 145. What was it? 145? The street that we were on. I can't remember now. It'll come back to me. But yes, I just showed up and I started helping out at the Phi Beta Sigma building. I just started helping. And then I started helping people market their different items that they had to sell. It just evolved. And I began to actually find the best quality items that we could offer to people during the Million Man March. And I just helped the people to get them out there. And I helped them sell them. Yeah. They were selling them wholesale. So we had a little storage room and I just filled that up with people's products and helped them get them out. That's all. It just became a thing.
Yes, ma'am. As a woman, as a sister, what was it like to have the energy of the Million Man March around you? What was it like that time during that time period?
Indescribable. Indescribable. I was selling the final cause. There's some brothers in DC that'll tell you I was selling them by the bundle on the telephone. That was exciting. That was just, there's nothing to describe it. It's one of the best experiences of my entire life. Just working with people who love the minister and love the teachings and love one another. It was like being in heaven, actually.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. How has becoming a grandmother, how did that impact you?
Let's see, I have 7 grandchildren. That includes the one that's in Ghana. I have 1 grandson in Ghana. And I have great-grandchildren, brother. I have 5 great-grandchildren.
Praise be to Allah.
It's a wonderful thing. I went to Nashville, Tennessee for one of my granddaughter's weddings in 28. She got married 1818. A lot of people wanted to get married on that day. It was a Saturday. And I went and I saw all of my grandchildren, except for the one, I have a granddaughter in Austria. She has a master's degree in international relations. And she lives in Austria. She's doing well. But she wasn't at the wedding in Memphis, but everybody else was. All of my grandchildren, all of my great-grandchildren. It was really a wonderful time. And my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren are all doing well. They have good genes and they're stepping up, getting knowledge, but none of them are in the nation, but they will be because they're going to have to be.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And how, as a great grandmother, have you ever had the opportunity to get all of your family in the same room at the same time, and if so, has it been difficult to do that?
Well, just in Memphis, when I was at the wedding, that was good. We all
Okay.
had dinner together. Of course, nowadays with the pandemic, that won't happen. But
Yes,
we
ma'am.
did have that experience in 2018. And I'm telling you, one of my grandsons and I have the same sense of humor. He understands my, jokes. He
Yes, ma'am.
understood what I was talking about when I was being funny. He understood. So
Beautiful.
they're coming, some of them are coming to visit me, but of course we have to see when we can all travel. We don't know yet.
Praise
I'm
be to the
looking
Lord.
forward to it though.
Yes, ma'am. And what do you do for fun, ma'am?
What do I do? Sell? That's my fun because now I'm selling the books of the nation. I'm selling those on a daily basis. That's my fun. Just when a brother or sister buys the books, that's fun to me.
Praise be to the Lord.
That's
Amazing. Okay. What is your favorite musical album of all time?
oh my goodness. You would have to do that. Well, I have to say I'm a fan of Michael Jackson off the wall because
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
a dancer, brother Joshua. I grew up musical.
Beautiful. Okay.
I grew up dancing every weekend and I've won 3 dance contests. I really dance. I
Okay. I
really,
like.
and I play clarinet and piano and I sing. I sang on Ted Mack and Dick Clark in
Mm.
1956 in New York.
You should land with that one.
Our minister, played the violin on the amateur hour, Ted Mack's amateur hour in 1949.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I sang with a group of girls from my school called the Girlfriends on the same show in 1956.
Praise be to the Lord.
Love
That's
singing.
amazing. Yes, ma'am. And speaking of dancing, my sisters are actually trying to put together something that's like almost like Dick Clark, that type
Ooh,
of where they where
really?
they where they like reenact it. How you do the New Year's countdown.
That's
So
wonderful.
Naima and Little Mimi, they're definitely trying to work on that. What was
That,
it
that
like? Did you get a chance to meet Dick Clark?
Oh, yes, I did meet him. And I met Ted Mack too. Yes. Dick
Mhm.
Clark was very personable, had a great personality. And
Beautiful.
he had a show where teenagers would go and dance.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. And now during this time period, can you help me? Because I don't know Ted Mack, but I'm familiar with Dick Clark because
Yes.
he New Year's. But what type of dancing was going on? Is this like the robot time period? Is this like the jitterbug? Like what's going on? What's the dances y'all were
Let's
doing?
see. Oh my goodness. Well, we hand danced a lot. Everybody in my town just about danced. I'm from Chester, Pennsylvania,
Yes,
and
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
most people, you can hardly meet a person from Chester, Pennsylvania that can't dance. It was just part of the culture.
Okay. Okay.
Everybody went to the Y on Saturday night for 50 cents, and
Mm,
you made a new outfit every week with a yard of fabric.
mm, okay. Okay.
It was fun.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, that's beautiful. All right. Shout out to the dancing and did any of you did you pass that down to any of your children, grandchildren, or great grandchildren with the dancing?
I don't know one of them that can dance. I'm sorry. When we were at the wedding reception, I'll tell you, I didn't believe those people belonged to me. Whoa.
Yes, ma'am.
It's all
Beautiful.
right because actually it's not important anymore. It
Okay.
used to be important, but it's not anymore. Even though I danced all the time, nowadays I really don't miss it as much. I don't think
Mm.
of it because so much is going on. Who has time to think about dancing?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Um, what has sustained your faith for all of these years?
Well, first of all, I know that I probably wouldn't be alive, or I wouldn't have the quality of life that I have. Just knowing that I have a decent place to live and good food to eat and knowledge of good food, and just having the quality of friends in my life, people in the Nation of Islam who love me. I mean, I wouldn't have this if I were not in the nation. And I appreciate it so much. All day long, I'm thinking about how blessed I am. It's just, we are very, very lucky people.
Yes, ma'am. I agree. Yes, ma'am. Would you ever write a book about your personal life?
I don't know, but I may, once I move to Ghana, inshallah, I might write one at that point. Because living in America, I don't really have the time. It takes all your time just to keep up, especially during these economic times. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, now I gotta come back to Ghana. When you're in Ghana, is
Yes.
there the restaurants? Is there anything that is, would I know that I was in Ghana, or could I, is like American in Ghana, or would I be able to immediately tell that I was in a different country when I visited?
You will tell immediately.
Okay.
First of all, at the airport.
Yeah.
But you know, the way you look, people will start speaking their language to you. You look like one of them. That happens to me all the time.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
You would fit right in.
Beautiful. Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Now, Sister Velma, what would you like your legacy to be?
I have this desire to help people all the time, because when I was growing up, my mother did that, and it became our way of life. If she saw a child that needed their hair done or something, she would bring them in the house and take care of them. If she saw somebody that needed something to eat, she would just give them food. So I like doing that. As a matter of fact, I had an opportunity today. Our wonderful captain, our student captain, Brother Andrew Muhammad,
Yes, ma'am.
he
Yes,
gave
ma'am.
all of us so much chicken today. He and the brothers of the FOI, he didn't do it alone, but he's so loving and kind to us. And I had all this food, and I know I don't have any more room in my refrigerator or freezer. So I had a chance to share it with my neighbors and my real estate broker. And, you know, that's the joy that I get. That's my real joy. You said, what do I do for fun? Give away things, help people. That's my fun.
Yes, ma'am.
It just feels right.
Beautiful. And I had the opportunity and the honor to interview Brother Captain Andrew as well on the People's Podcast. So that was a great job. He did a great job.
He's
and he's always in the community, and you are always in the community. So shout out to all the believers of Mosque Number 6 for you all's continued work. Well, Sister Bam, I want to thank you for your sacrifice, the sacrifice of your family. And I want to thank Tracy for being a constant plug and connecting me to all of the believers in Baltimore.
I call her precious. She's precious.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
She really is. She's a role model for me, believe it or not. She has the of Job, that woman. Wow. When I grow up, I want to be just like her.
Hey, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, I want to thank you, Sister Velma. May Allah continue to bless you. Thank you all for coming to the People's Podcast. And I look forward to, inshallah, seeing you one day in person, Sister Velma, so we can talk in person.
Yes. And you have to come to Ghana when I move there. You're welcome.
Man, I mean, apparently they think I'm from over there, so I might as well come be a rock star over there.
You'll fit right in.
Yeah, right. Yes, ma'am. But thank you, Sister Velma. Thank you all
Thank
for watching the People's
you.
Podcast. Assalamu alaikum.
Wonderful experience. Wa alaikum salam, sir.